we're not going to waste any time, Kobe. Let's just jump straight into Champions
It's
League.
10 a.m. and I already want to start dancing with this MSI intro here. But also, we are ready to rumble, Atlas.
We are.
The opening of
We're
the
not allowed
rumble
to say
stage.
that. Are you not allowed to say that ever?
You're not allowed to sing it. But
I got very scared for you for a moment.
I'm just in fact ready to rumble. No song attached to it at all.
I'm also ready for someone to pick Rumble. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. We've started off with a couple of bands here, with LeBlanc being taken away from Caps. Of course, LeBlanc just being taken away in general. The champion is ridiculously strong. Huge win rates so far. As the Caitlyn to be banned away from Gumayusi is perma-banned against him, and basically just him.
The other very common mid laner to get banned out along with LeBlanc has been the Ahri, utilized effectively by both of these mid laners. Of course, the mid laners are going to be a big spotlight. There it is. There's that Ahri we were looking for. But these are two of the mid laners that have used it effectively in their own regions, even when other mid laners of their own regions had not been able to do so. So no surprises there. And we pretty much get blanket bans of very, very common, high win rate, high percentage champions thus far. Wukong has kind of taken over the jungle recently.
G2 wanted this. I reckon G2 100% wanted this because Silas is left up, and the Twisted Fate is, of course, going to be locked in for Faker. One of his signature picks. He's been playing it for about the age of League of Legends at this point.
Maybe since the champion came out,
yeah, which was, I think, the beta very, very early. He was a different champion.
We get quick responses, though. So, of course, with the Twisted Fate, all that goes along with that for T1 especially is going to be Faker trying to help out all the younger players on the team, that map-wide presence. But the quick answer here from G2, Kalista picked up. I'm assuming it's going to be bottom lane. Could leave the door open for a solo lane. But that with the Diana gives you the possibilities of these big wombo combos, these big knockups and knockbacks for these team fights. Also makes you think, hey, that Yasuo should come through. It's great into Twisted Fate. It's the great pairing with Diana, and G2, they don't have to pick it up in their first two picks, so they use the extra run with Kalista because they know there's no way T1 steals away a Yasuo to combine.
Unless Zeus just decides that he feels like doing it at this point in time, but I would hazard to agree with you on that one. The Viego going to be locked in, and that is the cannon. A big pick for Zeus. He's been fantastic on this champion. He refuses to build Zhonya's because if you build Zhonya's, then you can't do anything for a couple of seconds. It means less killing, Kobe.
Exactly, and there's a Yasuo that we fully expected, so there's no surprise there. But I got so excited for the Kennen pick because I recently was indoctrinated into the full backstory for Zeus's name, and it comes from his mom, taking play off of his own name, but also his two favorite champions being lightning themed with Kennen and Jace. And we've seen how he smashes with the Jace. He hasn't picked Kennen quite as much, but now we get the full theme actually here at MSI for him. Super excited to see that, and of course does bring that big flank potential. As you said, he always builds purely AP to get the really big ults.
And he side lanes extraordinarily well on the Kennen as well. So don't look at this as being one of those team fight only Kennens, because this can be the 1-3-1 TF style compositions that we have grown used to. But the entire bottom lane is now up in the air for T1. Of course, a very versatile bottom lane as well. As the engaged support, Tahm Kench, going to be banned away from Carrier. We actually have to say it like that because Carrier does play the champion like an engaged support.
Well, we've had similar things with Core JJ in North America, so I'm well accustomed to it. The Catfish has been benched this time around. Let's see G2 though. As you mentioned,
the Gwen coming in.
They also need to round out their bottom lane. They're going to save last pick here for Targamas. I really like that because once we get into the game, we're going to focus on some more of the stories, and the bottom lane is going to be a huge one, especially the two supports for these two teams. But they first lock in the Ornn, which was so big for Broken Blade during playoffs for G2, and gives them just so much team fight. There is one giant stamp of a title across this G2 team, and this is a team fight draft to the name.
And Tristana going to be picked up here for Gumayusi, just keeping it a little bit more tried and true there towards the bottom side of the map. Not going to be playing his Draven this time around, but now is where the interesting stuff starts. What does Carrier have planned for us? Is it going to be his Echo support finally?
Honestly, coming down to two of the biggest pieces here for both these teams. Again, Carrier and Targamas focusing on their roam capabilities is going to be huge. But with the Rel Tristana lane, they want to try and actually fight this Kalista plus X. What's it going to be for Targamas?
Probably not Nasus is my assumption. We'll see what he does to go towards. Of course, Leona Nautilus still very, very popular, but not necessarily doing a lot of winning. And Rakan will be very slippery and provide a lot more of that CC. So, this is Yasuo comp. Let's do a knock-up count, shall we?
Do they need more
there's
CC?
Like 7 there, 7 there, there's 11 there, and they've got enough knockups, I think, Kobe. What do you think?
Yeah, I think by my count, it will be infinity knockups for G2 here. Their team fight is going to be a bounce house. This is the bounce house composition. Welcome to the G2 bounce house, T1. Let's see what they can do about it. Honestly, I'm also pretty excited by the lineup here from T1 because they start out with Twisted Fate, so you know that Faker's going to be going to those side lanes early and often. So you want those aggressive side lanes. You point out Zeus does play the Kennen multiple ways here. Can go for the split pushing, have the Twisted Fate come to him, or can also bring in flanks and teleports to try and get that big AoE down. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Gumisha and Keria, this is the best bottom lane in the world.
Yeah.
So if you get them Rel Tristana and a Twisted Fate from mid lane to go for ganks down there, you can definitely expect some action. I'm really looking forward to it because T1's first game versus the Saigon Buffaloes, they got jumped on by Tristana and they got killed.
I think they took some notes.
Yes.
And thankfully, the tagline for this MSI is about taking notes. And so hopefully they did exactly that. Yeah, segued that one pretty well, I have to say. But we're ready to get into it. I think this is a very stock standard draft to come through from T1. I think we'd expect this throughout this entire year. They haven't done a lot of losing throughout this year, but it's not necessarily something that is crafted to take down G2. G2, however, have gone back to just let's team fight all the time. Let's be scrappy. Let's give Caps that playmaking champion in the mid lane. Caps has been absolutely unbelievable this tournament.
Yes.
This is the first time he's played a champion twice, actually, in the Yasuo being picked up. Over 8 games, 8 unique champions is pretty impressive, in my opinion. But going back to the Yasuo is his first one that he'll double up on. As here we are, onto the rift for game number 1 of the Rumble stage.
Woo! Oh, I can feel it. I can feel it. I'm so excited to get it started here, Atlas. The analyst has touched on the Caps versus Faker match record, which was 8-3 in the favor of Caps. But the overall team score of T1 versus G2 is slightly in favor of T1, 11-10 for them. Hello!
Hi, everyone.
We are here. We made it to MSI. High five. Boom.
We did it. We're not too jet lagged as well, so hopefully we're going to be able to keep ourselves sane throughout this particular
first kill is a ward kill. Extra experience for both solo laners.
Faker is infinity CS ahead.
He is. He's the richest man on the Summoner's Rift. Honestly, it is kind of big to mention for solo laners, though, because it's a full wave that you get your level 2 quicker. It means you can get your level 2 on the first wave. Doesn't necessarily have this huge cascading effect, but it is quite nice to mention for both solo laners, especially when we've got like Zeus on his signature champion here, one of the 2 that he got his name for, so super excited to look at that. He started with the Cole on Kennen. You're playing into a tank, you're playing into the Orange, so he knows he's going to be able to farm to his heart's content. Take advantage of the range advantage there, get the brush control, try and get as much harassment as you can down while farming up nicely.
A bit of an attack here on the bottom side of the map. Targamas immediately going to throw out the exhaust and gets exhausted as well. The flashes coming forward, first blood within the first 2 minutes is Blackett looking to go down as well. Keria just over 100 health, so he has to back away. But T1, it's a statement in the first 2 minutes.
Atlas, we call for it in Champ Select as soon as we see the Tristana locked in for Gumayushi. And Keria, no hesitation there. They jump immediately in onto Targamas and get the kill. It was level 1. We were actually kind of talking in the car ride over. Oh, there's probably going to be a level 2 first blood. They waste no time. And they get it here for T1 bottom lane. Again, this bottom lane has been absolutely exceptional. Keria obviously getting the MVP in LCK, but Guma is basically a prodigy AD carry. So right here off of the knockback, Targamas actually goes in and he exhausts, but he immediately realizes the error of his ways and tries to flash out. So going aggressive there in onto Guma. There's no hesitation. The response from the T1 duo lane, they are not going to accept that aggression and immediately take them down.
Yeah, go for the first back as well. Gumisha Keria making sure that they spend that money. A couple of longswords picked up here by the Tristana to help push that lane even further into their favor. Jankos in the river, though.
Spawn camping the crab.
Yeah, there we go. Keria's going to spot it out. Knows that it just went down. Some pings go out to know exactly where Jankos is. But now Targamas with a bit of a roam towards the mid lane here at about 3.5 minutes. Not going to find too much because Caps is pushed in.
And with that Scryer's Bloom from Jankos, you know, he can make a pass through mid, but really his goal here is just to get to top crab, because when you Scryer's Bloom over enemy jungle on first clear like that, he can easily tab up, see the owner has 24 CS, that means he has no crab, his Krugs are also gone, so he's just done a full clear, you know he has done a full clear, so Jankos knows immediately my next goal after Scryer's Bloom him and taking into account the CS is to go to the top side of the map, which means T1 know that bottom side is left undefended for them, so they can make a hard push there. It's a good call from owner. He canceled his recall, immediately went to push out here with the bottom lane to further extend this Gumayusi carry a lead.
Yep, bit of a plate gank there towards the bottom side of the map, making sure that they get one of those at least. Weren't really intending on diving or anything like that, but getting them off the wave is certainly going to be valuable. T1 with the control ward down, Jankos in the area, but not able to actually affect anything. He's just going to go home. But double crab for the Diana, fantastic for the early game of this more level 6 base champion.
Yeah, I just love to see those in-the-moment adjustments from junglers, because you're always adapting to the information right as soon as you get it. So you're like, oh, Jankos, boom, he sees the CS, he sees him bottom side, boom, we're going to get crab. And then owner, because he knows Jankos sees this, helps out on the bottom side. They get a plate for their troubles, and he doesn't waste any time.
Flash forward, Carrier just using his Hex Flash. Of course, probably a support's favorite keystone ever.
Honestly,
they just get to flash from brushes
I rarely
all the
use
time.
it, and it's even one of my favorites. I think it's a really well-designed summoner spell.
Me too. Me too. And especially when used by some of the more aggressive supports that we have. Carrier, of course, fitting into that bucket quite effectively. Faker's going to teleport back here to the mid lane. He's got his steel caps, just trying to keep himself alive against Caps.
I'm actually super glad you bring up the supports, because supports were going to be one of the lanes that we're going to spotlight in this matchup specifically for Carrier and Targamas. Their mid lane roams have been so critical for both of these teams. Their roams overall, but Carrier has literally gone 0 times up to visit Zeus this tournament, which was pretty funny, and all of his roams have been towards mid lane, which was where we're going to focus. So both of them do have those options. With the early lead for the T1 bottom lane, they should be able to push in and get Carrier more opportunities, more windows to go for those roams. So as we see the opening of the lane here in mid lane, it's now level 6 is acquired, and Caps can go more aggressive with his ultimate, looking for the pressure onto Faker. Meanwhile, Faker going to be looking at both side lanes, especially the bottom side, though, because of the kill pressure there.
Definitely some gank setup sort of everywhere as well. Cannon pretty good at stopping champions, but Ornn not very good at being stopped, so not likely to be a...
He can, in fact, go unstoppable with the W there.
It's amazing that it's called that, because it is very accurate for what happens. Drake is going to be taken here. T1 starting that one up. They've got a crab as well if they'd like a little bit more. Faker going to nom on some honey fruit. And T1 will not be contested at this particular point in time.
And then, and this is how it should look, given the lineup here for G2, because again, as we said in Champ Select, this is a giant stamp of team fight all over this G2 lineup. This G2 lineup is looking to play off synergies of champions, grouping up so you can get knockups for the Yasuo, so you can get these big combos on multiple members. So they're okay giving up, early Dragon. T1 are definitely going to want to try and stack those. Their bottom lane presence is so strong. Their lead on bottom side is so strong. They should be able to continue stacking them. But G2 are going to be the team looking for those mid-game big team fights to try and break their way back into this game. It has been difficult for teams to do that versus T1, though. When T1 gets these early leads, they've been so effective at playing the map and extending those leads through the mid stages of the game that they kind of leave you with no area to work with and no surprise plays or angles to get those flanks or engages off on them.
Yeah, we call it the suffocation tactic, and T1 are definitely very good.
Sounds like an effective tactic.
Yeah, it works quite well, and this is something that, the T1s of the past that were, of course, called SKT at the time, were known for as well, right?
Yeah.
It was never letting your opposition play the game that they wanted to play. Then they don't get their camps in their jungle, and then they ultimately just lose in the end. But this is that was a story that we talk about in like 2015, 2013, 2016, when SKT were the peak of League of Legends, and we've seen that come back here with this T1 roster, especially this season. They haven't done a lot of losing, as it turns out. It's a bit of a stun. They're on to Caps in the mid lane, doesn't find his tornado. Just possibly thinking about going in there, as Targamas and Yankos do have decent engage ranges, but not going to be able to.
And I think this interaction goes in the favor of T1. We were kind of highlighting the support roams towards mid. You know, G2 obviously want to try and pull off one of these combos, but Keria here with Faker and the dodge of Faker there is able to avoid that giant confrontation that G2 are kind of looking for. Now, Gumayusi, after pushing on bottom side, is able to roam up for himself to try and take over lane clearing duties here in mid lane. And Faker, again, remember, does have his Twisted Fate ultimate available for this Rift Herald, so this could be an explosive Rift Herald. All of T1 are here. G2 should cede this objective because Kallista's in bottom side, so they should make the call, hey, just keep pushing Flakked on bottom side, get some turret plate money in exchange for the Twisted Fate. But we see Twisted Fate roaming down there. Faker with his ultimate could try and protect those plates.
Yeah, in theory, I really like that G2 do give that one up. Of course, top pressure was in favor of Zeus as well, so not a lot going for G2 when it came to taking that one. Yep, one plate going to be traded, of course, trying to equalize that which T1 have already taken for themselves down there. Faker just going to be tidying up this wave. Flakked going to be okay for now, especially with Targamas coming down.
I think that's a pretty fair price tag for Rift Herald. It still means that Rift Herald is going to give you more value for T1. But G2 getting one plate and the minion wave shoved in for themselves is at least something for Flakked down there on the bottom side.
Yep, Ona going to be tidying up his jungle now, and so far it's been pretty business as usual, but what that benefits usually in T1 games is T1. Because if things are quiet, that's probably because T1 want them to be in a lot of these instances, and you can see that reflected in the gold for now. But as you mentioned, this is a slow burn early game for G2. They want to start these 5v5s relatively soon, though, because T1 are charging up as well. And
business as usual for both of these two teams up until this game has been just winning. You know, this is the clash of win streaks with G2's LEC lower bracket run, you know, going undefeated since then, and T1 with the undefeated match season. We now have the clash, and one of them is going to have to break here. Meanwhile, bottom side continues to break as Owner does another plate gank with the Rift Herald. Means it's going to finish up on this turret and get that Tristana really rolling, which is so nice on this champion, because then they can rotate Gumayusi up to the other side. You can get more turret plates there with this champion. Explosive shot, so effective at mining early money.
Yeah, just one of those macro 80 carries. We talk about Caitlyn in this way as well. You just put her around and try to get her to kill turrets, but Zeus here towards the top side of the map flashes the second call of the Forge Guard, and he's going to get the stun here onto Broken Blade, but not going to grab the kill. Broken Blade's just going to peace out, trade some ultimates here, but Broken Blade gets the flash, so actually it's a win for him.
I love it. He's just so calm about it, you know. Zeus is having to do all the dodge work up there, but Broken Blade takes his all in, and he gets a summoner spell for his ultimate. Huge, huge win for him in the 1v1. Unfortunately, you know, it's during the lane swap where we just talked about. Bottom lane for T1 was taken, so they're going to swap Gumayusi up there. He's hungry for plates. But that flash being down on Kennen is quite big if G2 are able to get their big wombo combo fight that they want, because Kennen is kind of one of the only big AoEs that T1 have on their side.
Caps, good sidestep there. Going to get away from Ono, who's just going to slink back into the enemy jungle. Targamas in the area alongside Yankos, but you can see T1 just trying to get as much vision down as possible. And yeah, protect Gumayusi is the tactic here. They've got so much vision towards this top side. G2 a little bit slower on the rotation. Will mean a couple of plates go over to Gumayusi. That's 7, I believe, that he has claimed so far.
And I think we'll just keep that counter going, Atlas.
Yeah, I think that might be necessary.
Write that down, take some notes.
All right,
on your little pad right there. He's got 2 more. The Demolitionist Tristana has got 2 more minutes to work with to try and mine more turret plate money. And with the rotation up to the top side there for T1, should be able to do it. Faker still has Twisted Fate ultimate. He's just been kind of holding it this whole time.
Threatening with the Destiny.
Exactly. The threaten of God Faker here coming in.
That's a scary sentence.
I love the video, the hype video that they did for day 1, where Faker's line in it is, "I never left."
I never left.
Like, that is insane.
I got the chills. I definitely got the nerd chills when that one came through. Because it's true, he's been there for an extraordinarily long time. Never swapped teams and never stopped being extraordinarily good. As Gumayusi trying to get this second last plate. Targamas comes on in, but the crash down going to get Keria away. And Rel pretty good at being able to at least escape these opportunities for the Rakan.
Yeah. just the bodyguard here. Meanwhile, of course, you saw it on screen, but we should mention too, Dragon stacking stopped by G2. That was their payment.
There's the Magnet Storm as we are just going to pull back in Targamas. He's going to go forward though. It's Faker with the gold card looking to lock down Flakked once again, and the Callista will go down. That is one death apiece for the G2 bottom lane.
I feel like that is 2 times in a row where it's a little bit of extra aggression, unnecessary aggression from Targamas going back in a scenario where they had escaped a 3v2, and then it kind of baits Flakked in, and double summoner spells down now on the Callista, plus the death for Callista makes that a much worse scenario. You know, you've lost the extra play already on top side. You kind of have to cede that turret. That turret was probably going down anyway, but giving another extra kill over here to T1. Atlas, we mentioned the pace that T1 take over your map when they have a lead like this. That pace is greatly accelerated. Here's the engage. Carry a huge engage there, but G2 had escaped, and Targamas goes back in as Faker arrives, and then Flakked's just caught in there with the gold cards, kind of got baited in there for the extra aggression, you know, attacking a 2v3 scenario, even with a tower next to you. They immediately go down, and T1 stamping their name all over this game. Every member except for Carrier at the top of the gold ladder here for them. And that means these outer turrets, I feel like, don't have long to live.
Yeah, not long for the world. There is only one plate remaining towards that top side. That's 9 on the counter, Kobe. I am taking as many notes as possible.
I'm proud, I'm proud.
Yep, but no more are going to come down because it is, of course, 40 seconds past the plates going down. And T1 are now just looking to try and confirm that map control. The 1-3-1 is on with Faker towards that top side, and Zeus on that bottom side with his cannon. Riftmaker is complete. Of course, you see a lot of dash cannons come out of the cannon, but Zeus doesn't really care about stasis a lot of the time and doesn't really care about extra mobility. He'll just flash on in as the Everfrost from Faker gets out of the way of the tornado as well. As Owner comes through, Heartbreaker to keep himself safe. And T1 do escape the potential engage from G2, but surely should go down for the European roster.
Strong evasion there from T1, and you can see the respect Owner is paying. He's not even going to give the chance for Jankos to Diana ult him. He immediately goes for the Heartbreaker, as you say, because they know giving up Rift Herald number 2 is not the end of the world for them. They just want to escape, not give up any kills back to G2. They do just that, and they continue with the turret destruction.
Yeah, mid lane now in a whole lot of trouble, down to about half health here, but Cannon also getting work done in the bottom lane. The inner turret was under fire, and now he's clearing out 2 camps at the same time.
That's efficiency right there,
it
baby.
Definitely is.
That's a jungler. That's a jungler's heart.
Oh dear. Well, he is going to reset the blue. Yeah. He's a top laner, right, Kobe? He's not dandy, you know.
What's this little red bar under them? Also, there were some enemies getting close.
Yeah,
so
that was
I think
probably the bigger problem.
I think it was just the correct call to be like, yes, I cannot overstay and greed for this blue. So it does, in fact, get the Gromp, gets the extra money there. And again, SKT not going to give any of these opportunities to G2 to make that comeback. Not going to make any of these mistakes in over-greeding for plays, even if it is just a blue buff there. So
they don't need to.
A lot of respect there from T1. And you were mentioning as well, one of the big differences so far, even at this tournament, is just the lack of mistakes from this team, not giving any openings. And so far remaining true against another one of these Pool 1 seeded teams here at MSI.
Yep. Caps has been pretty quiet this game so far, but honestly, G2, I feel like they're just waiting for their opportunity to get that 5v5 working. We haven't seen what this composition is actually capable of as yet. And 17 minutes on the clock. It's not over just yet, but of course, 5,000 gold is a meaningful lead here for T1 so far, especially with so much of that money onto Gumayusi's Tristana, who scales well, also does well in the early game, but that trough is going to be non-existent. That we sometimes like to talk about when it comes to Tristana.
This is that roadmap of the game that we kind of laid out earlier with the drafts, and G2 coming up on the point where they want that big team fight so they can get their big combo. Yes, they would have loved to get one of the earlier picks and try and make use of a skirmish Yasuo ultimate, but now is where they really try and push it ahead. If you can Rift Trail, get a tower down for yourself, you get to start to make up some of this money here. This gold difference is a lot with objective gold, and the standing gold in these towers should go a decent amount of the way for G to try and get back into it. T1 will pick up the dragon in exchange for that objective there, and of course Faker has been rotated over with the Twisted Fate, who can cover even if they try and make a counter play towards mid. So T1 continue on, 2 objectives picked up for them, and Caps about to get 2 turrets for himself. So the Yasuo does get a lot of money here. If he can get to Infinity Edge real quickly and then try and pull off a crazy Yasuo Caps play, then maybe they can have their explosive fight they want.
Well, Destiny is going to come through here, of course. It's our featured matchup. 2 turrets now under the belt of Caps, and Faker going to be ulting his way up the top lane to get to more farm. Not going to see any big plays just yet, but it will happen in this game, I assure you.
And the big macro plays, though, Atlas, okay?
Yeah, exactly right.
Whenever you got your 2-for-1 objectives
the
or
macro
extra...
Destiny is like the most, LCK move you can make on the Twisted Fate.
An extra 30 seconds can mean the difference between life and death, Every minion wave is 30 seconds, so trying to get up there to the wave quicker so you can push, so you can get your recall off quicker, so you can rotate over. It does leave us in a scenario where T1 are leading in 2 turrets, as well as the extra dragon acquired for themselves, and most importantly, just space to work with. That's what those turrets come with. Yes, there's gold attached to those objectives, but a lot of space for them to spread the map. Because, as we've seen, they're very cautious against this G2 AoE Wombo combo team comp. They don't want to give them one of those fights. They want to spread the map as much as possible and utilize that T1 side lane pressure to avoid G2 getting any sort of income here in the mid stages of the game. Meanwhile, there's Cap's got a couple of the parts that we're looking for there with the pickaxe and the long sword.
Yeah, not quite at the Infinity Edge yet, though, so that power spike hasn't quite been achieved. And he's been denied a few of these side lanes as well. T1 have sort of been catching Caps, trying to get to some of that side lane farm, trying to deny the Yasuo from being that threat later in the game. It hasn't worked out so far because he's ahead in farm by just a little bit against Faker, but trying to keep him down is important. Faker now possibly in trouble here as it's a decent little catch there onto Jankos, who's just trying to get forward, and Faker is going to break his stopwatch. The teleport's coming through from Zeus, and now he's trying to protect his mid laner, but the last breath comes in. The ultimate's there from Zeus as well. No one's died just yet. Faker is going to be able to take down Targamas, but then immediately 3 kills, and now Owner is trying to chase this one out. Caps is in trouble. The heartbreak comes on through, and the resets are coming in. Can he find the next one? Yes, he can. It's now the Collapser, and Broken Blade's in trouble. It's a triple kill for the LCK Spring MVP for the finals, and Owner will reclaim victory for T1 in the fight.
Damn, I love watching this kid play. Owner on the top lane, absolutely owning this game hard. I love watching good resets with Viego. It's not just, ooh, I'm spamming R after each reset.
Exactly.
Did you see him when he got right back up? On Yasuo, instant win wall into the dash forward, making use of the shield bro proc. That's one of the things that's most frustrating for people is, of course, those big items procs that you get to use when you come back up too as well. But honestly, those are the big moments that they were thinking of when they designed this champion, where you really get that that overall 1v5 sort of feeling from him, and him coming up and cleaning that playoff. It started out with Faker making the call early on. You can see from his movement, very early on, the comms from T1 were, hey, come to me, we're going to outplay this. Then the re-engage from G2 actually looked good. They got a big wombo set up. It barely couldn't finish the other 2 solo lanes there, as it took them a little bit of extra time to finish them off, and that allowed Owner the last second. And look at these pickups, so close to dying, but then shield bow procs, gets to use the wind wall, ults back over, flash used exceptionally well as well, and forces the flash out of Broken Blade there with the full chase. But really, really nicely done from him to save basically the play for T1 there. Then Keria going through with his Wombo, and Gumayushi, no hesitation on the rocket jump forward. Does result in Flakked getting the kill, and the ultimate...
Baron!
It was the Baron with the last hit. This was off screen. I didn't get to see how it happened.
We were within a replay of a replay of a replay at that point in time, but the Baron definitely MVP in that last play. As that last team fight, 4.4k from Owner, and this is what happens. You get that first kill, and Viego can be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Owner definitely was.
But that double kill going over to Broken Blade there, we also should mention that he is ready to hand out Ornn upgrades. So level 14 here, he can now also help upgrade Cap's damage potential. And so the potential for this G2 AoE giant fight is still there. That last top fight was by such small margins. One by Owner there, one by T1. So close there to being a swipe for G2. Here's the Twisted Fate ultimate, giving them some vision, but this is where you get to use the power of your strong engage and frontline as threat for G2. T1 though, you see them trying to focus on the minion wave. They're retaining their position, so Guma can just blow up this mid wave first, while G2 try and bully their way into the mid-river and probably look towards this dragon setup, because it is number 3. It's not, Soul, but it is Soul point if T1 sends a single person down there to pick it up.
Yeah, and that's so much more map control as well, because you get to dictate when these Drakes are going to be taken. You have so much more power there. But catching G2, like tickling the Baron just a little bit there, seeing what was going on, but getting the Destiny out, definitely great news for G2. And now you can see the game plan is on. G2 grouped up as 5. And this is what we want to see. We got a bit of a taste of how it could work, but wasn't quite it. Of course, T1 want to create space for Gumayusi, as Owner does take down that Drake. Carrier now trying to get some vision over. He's spotted by Jankos here, who does throw the Q through. They're looking to just blow up one target, and they'll absolutely do so. The Call of the Forge God comes down. Faker's going to get knocked up as the gold card has been locked down. He's not going to be able to go golden yet again. Zeus is immediately being exhausted. Throws down the ultimate after it wears off, though. Does he have enough damage is the question, as Gumayusi relatively untouched, but so are G2. It's so much damage from the lightning, but it's not enough. Gumayusi going in, looks for the reset, but the knockups are there, and it was a bit too far for the young AD carry.
Yeah, there's one member left alive for T1. Zeus is on the run now. Jankos wants it though.
That is a fantastic lightning rush, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. Jankos going to grab the solo kill, theoretically, at the end there, onto the cannon, and this is the teamfight power of G2's comp.
Exactly. This is what happens when they can get their hands on you. Just one person needs to touch you with a knockup, and then the chain comes through from G2. It's Jankos in 4 caps, and normally you're like, what? Did they just use double ultimates on a support? But getting that advantage in the player count means they get to chase down Faker as well, and all of a sudden, even though they've used so many ultimates and so many knockups, they still have more left here. So Zeus comes in with the big ultimate, but they've only got 3 players left, and G2 still, with the stopwatches, able to finish it out. Zeus able to get a decent amount of AoE down there, but Gumayusi, eyes get a little big as Tristana when you see those giant, reset possibilities. But again, G2 always have so many extra knockups. They have them for the counter engage there. Zeus and Guma trying to pull out some hero plays at the end, but unable to do it. And G2 now, after they've gotten a taste, they want more.
Well, Caps now just tidying up some vision here, and G2 will be feeling so much better after that. They've claimed the kill lead. 9-8 now in favor of them. Not quite the gold lead just yet, but it's only 3,000. That means basically nothing here at 26 minutes.
And after that lesson, T1, they want to go right back to the split pushing. Keep Faker getting that pressure for them on top side of the map. Goes right up to the minion wave. They've got the ultimate available. He can pop it for vision. He can also relocate once the pressure gets close to them. So extra damage here on turrets means a lot for T1. There's the ultimate. They get to spread. All safety has been acquired for them as they start up this Baron.
Yep, Destiny's going to come through, used defensively here as Faker makes his way back to the rest of his team. Zeus on the flank right now, does have Flash back available, crucially. Great battle dance there from Targamas to get him out of the way of the stun as Carrier goes in. Now it's his turn to try and find that engage. Decent knockback there onto Zeus, but he's going down low. Double kill for Jankos already in the team fight. Throws down the ulti, he's picked off Gumayusi, and team fighting this G2 is a mistake. T1 make again.
It is huge for G2. Atlas, they get just what they want. Broken Blade teleports into the middle of the river and dares T1 to engage on them. He dares them and they fall for it. G2 bring home the claps. They got the knockups right where they want them. Look at this one. Teleport right in their faces, and Carrier says, okay, fine, we'll go for the early engage. They get back to Caps, but look at Caps, there's no follow-up damage, so he sits the whole knockup just fine, untouched there. And then they're able to fire off. They barely get him low, but it doesn't matter. Targamas comes in, they shield him, they got the full pickup there. Flacket on top side was taking care of his own side of the team fight, and it's another one for G2. T1, a little bit of hubris here, I feel like. Atlas,
yeah, a little bit too much.
To opt away from your win con of being able to spread the map and being able to split, and into that of G2, just what they want. It's so clear from them, straight from Champ Select. They're screaming, teamfight, please, AoE us, AoE us. And G2 are able to make it happen this time around. There was no follow-up damage to burst down caps. I think that's the only scenario in which T1 should go for it. If they see an angle to actually burst down caps and they can take him down, then yeah, okay, go for it. But there was no follow-up damage there. And then even Jankos and Flakked on the top side of that team fight were also doing enough damage to take down a couple T1 members. So G2 now with Baron. The thing they have to worry about now is the reset on the next Dragon, 37 seconds, but we'll take a look at the lead up to this 4T1.
Yeah, with how explosive G2's comp is as well, I just don't think that Ocean Soul is going to matter that much to G2 regardless, as they are going to be able to take their first inhibitor. It's a back coming through from Zeus. He knows that the pressure is on. G2 will just take this one. They can rotate back and grab this Drake if they'd like to, or just look for a little bit of a reset, but the Destiny is going to come down. Zeus cancelled the back, so they will be able to try and answer as far as these inhibitors are concerned, but it's just an inhibitor turret. Not going to have those super creeps making their way to the base of G2, but at least it's something here for T1, and that's going to keep the gold extremely even.
Recalls are being started for the extra members of G2 to come help with this defense, but it looks like Broken Blade's got it under control even with Faker hovering there, so it's just going to be a red buff taken away, and T1 losing a lot of that threat, of that advantage, because now with so much less area for G2 to get caught out because there are less objectives, so they have less reason to spread out, they can stay in their strong and secure setup here with multiple members and just threaten these giant chains of knockups on T1 over and over and over again. And without the extra gold lead for T1 to really put that extra threat on their split push, and the extra inhibitor also being taken, it is now G2's command of Summoner's Rift. And you see them getting the first push on mid lane, still have a little bit of this Baron buff to work with, 10 more seconds as Broken Blade gets top wave in position to try and expose another inhibitor.
Yep, but they will be able to move him through the inside track of the jungle. So G2 just playing this 4-1 quite beautifully. T1 set up as 4 now, and this is dangerous. It's more teamfight territory, Kobe.
Yeah, I mean, I love it when there are two teams, which so clearly from the beginning of Champ Select, we've got this roadmap of how they want to play out, and they're so different, and then we get to see the actual transition through mid-game. And the takeover. Now, guess what? We've got level 16 caps with a stopwatch. 3 item power spike Yasuo with the Infinity Edge plus the survivability of the Shield Bow and Destancier and a stopwatch usage means that they're confident to just bully right through, force on this tower.
Yeah, that is going to be the call of the Forge God. Gets a couple of knockups here. Arizona does try to camouflage himself. That is just going to be guaranteeing this inner turret. No more Baron. That's going to be up again in 2 minutes' time. And G2 have complete run of the map, and now looking at the gold is completely irrelevant, because if G2 can make T1 play their game, I don't think there's any way that they're going to be able to win. T1 need to try and split this map, try and catch off stragglers. Yeah. But as you can see, even with the Destiny here being used to try and see if there are any of those stragglers, it's not going to net them anything.
It's been so cool to track, you know, the rise of G2 throughout LEC playoffs and into MSI as Faker. Ooh, he's not done yet. Operation Invade Red area for for very little gain.
Indeed. However, you know, he's not going to lose anything for it. He's just going to go back home. But the scouting mission definitely worked out. Owen Wilson went behind enemy lines and then managed to make it out safely. Sorry for spoiling the end of that movie.
Honestly, too, I was hoping there was going to be something done, like even a ward dropped or anything back there. So then we could talk about later, oh, this Galaxy Brain, 3 minutes in advance, this was placed here, but no remnants. There's no evidence that actually took place. The only evidence is...
Did he even do it? We might need a replay just to
The only
confirm.
evidence is us talking about it. You know, we're just like, did that actually just happen? Well, honestly here, though, G2, again, following their ascent, there has been one thing that has remained true, and it has been the core of their team fighting. What's cool is, though, they've done it from so many different angles. So it hasn't been this very static team fighting that's always the same champions. You know, they've been very, very good at mixing up the different angles at which to set it up. But they have had that kind of core tenet as far as a lot of this success that they've really been able to ride. And looks like they truly want to keep this undefeated streak going for themselves. Now with Baron coming up, it's very easy for them to just group up on it. They've got so much advanced vision up through the blue jungle here of T1, and Faker, since he was not able to get a ward or anything down there through the red jungle, there's nothing for T1 as far as any extra information.
And when you're split pushing as well without vision, it becomes so difficult. You see Faker trying to get towards that top lane wave. He can't get there because G2 could have been anywhere within their jungle, and there's just not enough vision. Destiny now going to be popped yet again, as now Faker over the wall looks to try and lock down Flacker, but he is going to be able to cleanse his way out of it. And now G2's reset up that Phalanx to get control. Look for the Wind Whirl. It was so powerful last time for Caps, and it can stop Gumayusi from getting all of that damage down that he wants. Decent little stun there onto Targamas, but not going to take any meaningful damage. The Baron now once again down to very low health as they dive on in. Can they find the smite? And it's going to be taken by Caps of all people. Owner's now going to go down to his GA as T1 are looking to try and escape. Carrier breaks his stopwatch, but he will go down as well. Followed by Owner at the same time as Faker's flashing out. In goes Zeus, finds a huge ulti, but it's not going to be enough. And G2 once again wipe the floor with T1 in the 5v5.
Yeah, they wiped the floor all right. They're going to chase down every last speck of T1 here. Faker running for his life through the jungle. Targamas should be able to get him there with the blast cone.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Faker here as he does lock the gold card, but it will wear off, and G2 are just hurting him.
Oh my.
These velociraptors or hyenas or something like that, there are definitely packs of G2 members here as Faker looking to try and get out, but he's going to get knocked up instead. And Jankos is going to be gifted the kill there with the
My goodness, G2, another big team fight for them. I actually got scared when I saw such an early smite.
Yeah.
There was a smite around 1.8k even. And
sometimes you believe in Caps so much that you know that he's even going to be able to smite better than you without the
trust in
ability
the
to
crit
do so.
from the sword, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to take a look at the replay at how it actually went down. But it didn't even matter at the end there because the team fight wholeheartedly goes their way as well. Yeah, there's a big cannon ultimate at the end, but that's way too late to have a kind of big difference in the team fight. And it's now level 18s with Baron buff coming through here for G2. They want to finish this one up.
Yeah, they're going to take down that inhibitor one more time. Now looking to try and tidy up some minion waves, you would assume, as G2 do back away, not wanting to try and win this game, sieging against Nexus turrets without their waves in order.
They've got a lot of gold to spend.
They do have a lot of gold to spend, and also I don't think there's too much of a rush, because when you've won the last 3 team fights in a row and it hasn't been close, you're probably happy to take a fourth.
The smite was at 2k, but Owner wasn't in close enough to the Baron, it looks like. He barely got in range at the end there. I think the smite went down from him at like 1k. So there's a lot of damage there, and he got bursted down as well. Yeah, that was a funny chain of events. Him staying kind of towards the edge. Zeus goes in, but gets exhausted.
Yeah, the exhaust was fantastic this time around.
So not going to be a big effect whenever you have that. The biggest counter there.
Yeah, now Zeus potentially in trouble. Throws down the ulti here for himself. His owner's like, I'll try and help. No, I won't try and help, as he just gets himself the heck out of there, and I do not blame him. There is a very dead lightning mouse on the top side of the map as G2 now bear on down on this inhibitor turret on the top lane.
The only hope
can tank it forever.
The only hope for a T1 is some crazy race stuff to go on. So they're actually just sending Guma to just rush here. How hard can you actually push this Tristana demolition aspect? G2 coming for the base, and they want to finish up this pressure. With 5 people, they can threaten the dive.
Yep, they certainly can, especially with Gumayusi still a little ways away. He's actually going to, yes, he does manage to complete the back as the first Nexus turret is going to go down. Into the backline goes Carrier, but immediately he just pops like a balloon. And Broken Blade seems completely unafraid of absolutely anything. Eventually he will back away, but happy to tank for as many days as you'd like him to. T1 do deal with the minions, but G2 still want more.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was a great opening to the game for T1, but G2 trust in their team fight all the way through, and now they're rewarded. 2 inhibitors down, huge damage done. The extra Nexus turret even taking does mean a lot, because 1 Nexus turret is pretty quick to get through when you're going for the end towards any sort of these late game scenarios for them.
He's back.
2 minutes, 13 seconds left on the Dragon Soul that will arrive, and it's Dragon Soul for either side. Don't think that's going to be the biggest factor here, though, as G2 have full map control. Only have to deal with pushing mid-wave, and super minions will take care of the other 2 for them. then they just group up and repeat business as usual. It looks like their exhaust is ready as well, so Targamas has exhaust for the team fight. Doesn't look like there's any extra outs for T1 in that scenario then. As long as Targamas holds his for Zeus, for Kennen, should be able to secure it.
And even then, I mean, Zeus is a 0-5 cannon right now. It's not necessarily the most powerful that we've seen cannons, especially when they're wielded by Zeus here. Zeus.
Maybe if Guma comes in on a wrecking ball there and looking for those just on resets, try and use it on him.
That could also be very difficult, just because I feel like Caps has had his wind walls in exactly the right positions every single fight, and you only need that duration, right? Because G2, they get that first little advantage in the fight, and then they roll over the top of you with the amount of CC that they have.
And I just want to shout out Jankos, because you know he often gets memed on the most for G2, but he does so much work for this team. And the Diana being the sole AP, if he fails, if he flops, he is one of the players on this team that cannot afford to flop, you know, as sole AP. And you can see it when he does well like this, like massive damage being dealt by him every single time.
Well, now we've got Carrier going in one more time. The Magnet Storm not necessarily the most pivotal, as the double knock-up from the Grand Entrance is fantastic from Targamas, and they tidy up both the Rel and the Twisted Fate. Jankos is going to have to flash away, though, as Gumayushi goes for a bit of an insect play, but he's now at 1 health and not able to participate in this fight. It's going to be G2 that now move towards the Nexus. This was theirs from about 20 minutes into the game. It was a matter of time, and G2 will remain undefeated in this tournament, and T1 take their first match loss this year.
G2 with the stronger undefeated streak here. My goodness, Jankos, masterful Diana performance from him. I know people also never want to like give credit to like Diana Yasuo combos because it's like 2 buttons, but there was so much else that he did that was not just combos. You see it a lot in the positioning, zoning off multiple carries in the last one, you know, chasing down extra kills. Just really nice, again, team fighting from G2 and sticking to their win condition, which is most important, right? There were a couple of instances, even though T1 played the early game quite well, you know, even getting bottom lane kills, getting a lot of these early towers chain for themselves, they don't stick to spreading the map as much and falling prey to some of these fights with the giant combination of knockups from G2 just when they needed them. What a great start to the Rumble stage here. We get an upset because let's be clear, T1 considered favorites by the vast majority of analysts, of even fans as well, to take the entire tournament, and G2 come out here with a bang, taking the first game off them.
It was absolutely fantastically well played by G2. I love that they crafted this composition and then just didn't care. They straight up did not care that the early game was a 5,000 gold deficit for them. They're like, guys, we're scaling. We're scaling. And then it hit that 20-minute mark.
I think they cared a little bit. So you can see some of these chases where they're like trying to chase down one person. They're like, ah!